Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the Mental Health Webinar Series 2020 and 2021. It's very happy to announce that today we are in 475th session, and it's a big milestone. Yeah, that the big milestone. We are having the great resource person, Muthiah Ramanathan sir. Is very happy to hear on this 475th session. So I would like to intro about him. Muthiah Ramanathan sir, he is the director for Mind Dynamics Chennai, and he served as he is a corporate trainer and a counselor. He served president and president of the Hypnotic Club Chennai for 14 years. He presented thousands of training programs and trainer all over, well over 1 lakh people on self-development. He trained nearly 1 lakh people all over India, and 30 plus years he is in the industry. More than 100 of videos on self-development are available in YouTube channels, Tamil as well. His courses on transaction analysis and hypnosis in Tamil and English are available in the international education platform, udemy.com. Written 2 books in Tamil, Powers of the Subconscious Mind and Hypnosis, How to Score More than 90% in the exams. These are the 2 books he written. He is reviewing the 2 books on self-development every week on Wednesday and Friday in the book review on WhatsApp group. He presents a book review on all Thursdays in the WhatsApp group, and he specialized in hypnosis and transaction analysis, neuro-linguistic program and psychology. Today he is going to talk about the introduction to transaction analysis. I would like to welcome on behalf of American College Madurai and MS Chalamuth Institute Madurai, Madras School of Social Work Chennai, and Red Pond Educational Psychological Research Center Madurai, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, and Tamil Nadu Career Counseling Association, Tamil Nadu Counselor and Psychotherapy Association, and STEMS Foundation. With this kind note, I would like to invite to this program all the participants and the resource person, Muthiah Ramanathan sir. Sir, welcome, and over to you, sir. You can take for this session.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Salim and Sananda, madam. Do I stop at 6 o'clock or shall we have 10 more minutes like?
Yes, sir. You can have that. No, yeah, you can go another couple of 10 minutes also. Not issue, sir. Today.
Right. Somewhere around 5:50, 5:55, give me a reminder so that I'll be able to wrap it up. Right.
No,
thank you. Thank you very much. So I welcome all the participants. I'm very happy. So many people are here. And in the chat box, if you already know something about TA or transactional analysis, let me know that you know say yes, so that I get to know how many people are already aware of TA. And for those people, I would like to tell you that I'm an abnormal human being and I do TA in my own style, and which may not be the way in which you were taught by other trainers, number one. And if in case it tallies with other people, take it as a reinforcement. And all the other people who do not know anything about TA, from now onwards, whatever I tell you as TA is TA. Okay? Now, let's go in. And transactional analysis is a beautiful subject in psychology. And the beauty is it's directly applicable to us in everyday, day-to-day living. The way I'm talking with my wife or husband or children or neighbors or in the office or school or college or in the society, everywhere, like psychology, it's a branch of psychology. And everything that I'm going to talk about today in TA for the next 1 hour, I tell you, everything is directly applicable to you in your life. There is nothing called theoretical information which you would like to keep on record and then maybe refer to it sometime back. You can refer to it immediately in every junction of life, every juncture of life, every occasion in your life. So that's the beauty of TA, like psychology. And that's one area. And another one is what is transactional analysis? Anything that happens in between two people is called a transaction. By and large, you and I are trained to think of transaction as something that happens in a financial institution like a bank, wherein I give something and get something, some money gets exchanged, some financial transaction happens. But then here, whatever happens in between two people when they look at each other, when they don't even look at each other but come across each other, everything that happens in between them is called a transaction. I'll give you some more details a little later, right? So transaction is something which happens at all points of time whenever two or more people come together. That's one. And then TA, what is TA all about? TA is a theory of personality. Personality meaning my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And then it is also a theory of communication and relationship, meaning how do I communicate with other people, or how to build a relationship, or whatever goes wrong with the relationship and what is the reason why it went wrong, and how can I redo it also. And then it's also a theory about child development, because 0 to 5 years, meaning the time you were born till you became 5 years old, like 0 to 5 years. I normally call that 0 to 5 years of time as mummy daddy university, getting graduated like an engineer or a doctor or chartered accountant. So this mummy daddy university 5 years is very, very important. Very, very important. And almost all the psychotherapy courses, they tell you, right? So it's a course on child development also. And it is a theory of psychopathology, meaning wherever we have a problem with regard to your psychological issues, with regard to relationships or communication in other areas, psychopathology meaning some psychological issue. It could be a disorder, or it could be a sickness, or it could be a disease, or it could be a mild problem in relationships, or achieving your goals, or solving your problems. And then it is a system of psychotherapy, meaning there is a codified way, step by step we are going. And then from the time we were born till such time we die, there is a coding available in TA, like coding done by IT people. And it's also an educational tool. It's a tool in management also. It's a school of social psychology also. So psychology or TA is very much applicable in very many areas with regard to our lives, or psychology or psychotherapy, right? And it's also defined as a theory of personality and a systematic tool in psychotherapy for personal growth and personal development. Normally use the word growth when there's a physical growth, and we say development whenever there is no physical growth, but something else changes in us and we become better off, we call that as development. Physically, if something is growing and becoming larger or bigger, we call that as growth. But then I'm with the same height and same weight and same qualifications, if I become a better person, I call that as personality development. So it's a psychotherapy and a systematic tool of personality for personal growth and personal change also, right? And Dr. Eric Berne was the founder of this course. And Eric Berne, E-R-I-C, Eric Berne, B-E-R-N-E, B-E-R-N-E, Berne, Eric Berne, Dr. Eric Berne. He was born in Canada in 1910, and then he moved on to USA. And when he was 10 years old, his daddy died, and mummy brought him up all alone, and he was very much attached to his mummy. And somewhere in 1950, like, he started creating this originating or founding or creating this new subject called transactional analysis. He was basically educated like an MBBS doctor and a doctor physical medical practitioner, and then he qualified in psychiatry, meaning like our diploma in psychiatric medicine, DPM. He qualified as a psychiatrist, and then for 15 years, 15 years, he studied psychoanalysis under students of Dr. Sigmund Freud called Dr. Paul Fedden, P-A-U-L, Paul, F-E-D-E-R-N, Paul Fedden, and another teacher by name Dr. Eduardo Weiss, E-D-U-A-R-D-O, Eduardo Weiss, W-E-I-S-S. So Dr. Paul Fedden and Dr. Eduardo Weiss were students of Dr. Sigmund Freud, and he learned psychoanalysis from these two people, not just 2 years, not just 5 years, 15 years, 1-5. After learning 15 years, he didn't qualify to become a psychoanalyst, but then they said you need to study more or do some more work. And he went on to study in psychology with another great psychologist by name Dr. Erik Erikson, E-R-I-K-S-O-N, Dr. Erik Erikson, 2 more years. So 15 years in psychoanalysis and 2 years in psychology and 2 or 3 years in psychiatry and 5 or 6 years in MBBS like study. And the man was totally committed to physical and psychological well-being. And after that, because he was slightly annoyed or fed up or uncomfortable or uneasy not getting his psychoanalysis qualification, he said, to hell with you, I'm creating my own course, and he called it as transactional analysis. And even though he called it as transactional analysis, there are some traces of psychoanalysis inside this, but that doesn't mean he modeled it, he copied it, he mimicked it. Some traces of psychoanalysis are always there in transactional analysis also, right? And then somewhere in 1950, he created this subject, and he called it as ITAA, International Transactional Analysis, association. And he didn't even call it. Somebody who came to him, he said, I want to join your TA association. And he said, that was the first time he started thinking of an association. And he said, okay, join my association. And he termed it as ITAA, International Transaction Analysis Association, ITAA. He was the founder. And he's written several books. And the famous books are Games People Play is one. And then TA in Psychotherapy is another. And then What Do You Say After You Say Hello is another. Sex in Human Loving is another. And there are several books that he has written, and he has also helped many other people to come along with him to contribute in creating transactional analysis. Right? So that's about Dr. Eric Berne. And then coming over, he says there are a few principles or presuppositions like NLP. We have certain things. The objective of TA is to make a person autonomous. AUTONOMOUS. Autonomous means you are on your own. Meaning you are free to decide, free to think, free to act, free to feel, free to do whatever you want to do. You are on your own. You are not dependent on the load or whatever has happened earlier. You don't carry any baggage. You are able to be in the here and now and function and take care of your life and solve your problems and achieve your goals. Meaning you are on your own. You are capable of being on your own and taking your decisions and solving the problem also. So coming to that, the idea is to make you autonomous in a different way. If I put it, I think it's Abraham Maslow. He said self-actualization, meaning ultimately physical well-being, psychological well-being, and then power, and then ultimately you contribute whatever you have to other people and die empty, like Henry Todd said. Whatever you have, you empty yourself and give it to other people, right? Here you become autonomous. Self-actualization and die empty and autonomous are all some similar vocabulary, synonyms you can say so. And then the components of autonomy are you are aware of awareness and spontaneity and intimacy. Awareness is you are aware, you are using your five senses, being aware of whatever is happening around you, where you are and where you want to go. Spontaneity meaning here and then now you are spontaneous, taking encountering whatever is available or receiving whatever is available and then redoing something wherever there, whatever is available with you, and then going about achieving your goals or connecting with people or relating with people, getting along well with people, getting something done. So that's being spontaneous. Intimacy. Intimacy is the third one, wherein you are totally connected with other human being, and it could be a husband and wife, or it could be anybody else. If you are totally connected with the other person, uncensored and no reservations, no hesitations and no qualifications, nothing, just two people intimate with him, with himself or herself, with themselves. So awareness and spontaneity and intimacy are the three aspects of you being autonomous in your life. And then coming to objectives of TA or principles of TA, TA says people are okay, everyone is okay. You are okay, he is okay, others are okay, society or the world is okay, and everyone, everything is okay, everyone is okay. People are okay. This is the number one principle. Number two principle says everyone has got dignity. Dignity and value. People are worthwhile, people have value. Doesn't matter whether young or old or educated or otherwise, qualified or otherwise, or a position or otherwise, designated or otherwise, people are okay. And people can think and people can change their thinking also. Everyone is capable of thinking. Everyone is capable of taking his own decisions. Everyone has got a choice to change his thinking also at a later point of time. So people are okay is one, and people have value and dignity is another. And then the third one is people can think and people can change their thinking also, decide also. So is it 100% correct? I do not know. But supposing I say people are not okay, and I think I don't have any dignity or other person has got no dignity, and I think I can't decide or I cannot make decisions for myself, then that's a problematic situation. So we take it for granted that people are okay and everyone has got dignity and value, and I can think and I can decide. That's a good premises to start, even though you may be right 80 to 90%, even though you may be wrong 10 to 20%. Right? So these are the presuppositions or objectives of TA like NLP. NLP also has got 15 principles, which I covered last week. Right, coming over. And then coming from psychoanalysis, Dr. Eric Berne also classifies our energy states into, calls them as ego states. Ego has got nothing to do with me being me, or my pride, or myself, or my ego like. It's not the English terminology ego. It's simply a state of mind, a mental state. That's it, nothing more than that. Meaning there is an energy state available. And we have, all of us have got three, structurally, all of us have got three ego states, which rhymes or something similar to what Dr. Sigmund Freud said in psychoanalysis as id, ego, and superego. Id is pleasure principle, and ego is reality principle, and superego is morality principle. Similarly, here also, Dr. Erikman talks about child, adult, and parent. Parent is the morality principle, telling us what to do, what not to do, what is okay to do, what is socially acceptable, desirable, or otherwise. And the child is the pleasure principle, seeking something. Not necessarily child is 10 years old. A child could be anybody. If I am the vice president of a company and I want to become the president of the company, I am in child ego state. If I have a car and I would like to buy a better car or a new car, I am in child ego state. Anything you want, at any point of time, anyone wants to have something, he is seeking some pleasure, he is in the child ego state. It has got nothing to do with you being less than 10 years old. So child is a mental ego state. And then the adult is the other one, which is the reality principle, which tells you what is available in front of you, what needs to be done, collect data, reprocess the data, manipulate the data, shortlist the data, and then ultimately arrive at what to put into action and course correction, ultimately arriving at your destination or your goal or a target or a purpose. So the child is the pleasure principle, which is similar to id of psychoanalysis. And adult is similar to reality principle, ego of psychoanalysis. And parent is the morality principle equal to superego of psychoanalysis. Right? So not necessarily they are the same. In Freud, it is a theoretical construct or a concept. Here in TA, it's applied. Child meaning when I was a child, whatever I thought, whatever I felt, whatever I did. If I'm coming from my parent ego state, it means when I was a 0 to 5 years old child, I was observing my mummy or daddy to be thinking that way, feeling that way, or acting that way, or talking to me that way, communicating to me that way, or relating to me with that way, based on my mummy daddy, not any mummy daddy. My mummy daddy and I model, and it is my parent. It's me, child. I was 5 years old, and I was a child and standing in front of other people and getting information or relating with them or feeling or thinking or doing something. So it's my child, it is my parent and my adult, right? In Freud, it's a theoretical concept. There are two different schools of thought which look similar, not necessarily the same. Don't confuse both of them. Don't say one is better than the other. Don't say one is copied from the other. So it is not a copy. They are similar. They are two different schools and they approach it differently and they have some similarities also. Right, coming back. Whenever I want something as a child, 0 to 5, then I am in a child ego state and I'm wanting something. Many a time I took all my decisions as a child based on my survival needs. How do I survive in this hostile environment called my family? Because I was tiny little, I was hardly 2 feet or 2.5 feet tall, and I weighed hardly 20 kg. But then I looked at all the people around, they are 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall, 50 kg, 60 kg, 70 kg, 80 kg. They all looked like giants. In front of them, whatever I wanted, I needed to ask them. If they give me, I get it. Otherwise, I don't get it. So what will irritate mummy? What will please mummy? I do not know. What will anger my daddy? What will make my daddy happy? I do not know. In the process of living, I get to understand. And in the process of survival, I somehow manage to please my mummy, daddy and get whatever I want. And I learn something in that university. In some families, something are permitted, something not permitted. In some other families, something else is permitted, something else not permitted, because people were different and people were bringing up child development in different ways. And in the environment in which I was brought up, I took some decisions, and almost all the decisions that I took were based on my emotions only, because I did not have much of thinking faculty. I was not capable of thinking when I was less than 5 years old. Are you with me? So almost all decisions taken based on my emotions, and I was a child. And then the child, maybe if there was a chocolate, the child wanted the chocolate, and the one chocolate was not enough, and the child was asking for another chocolate. Mummy said nothing doing. So at that point of time, the mummy saying nothing doing is coming from the parent. morality principle. During the evening, a child can eat only one chocolate, or there are only 4 chocolates. There's a mummy, there's a daddy, there's a brother, there's a sister. All of us will have one. But then I wanted 2, but 2 is not given to me. I do not understand how come, why I am not given 2. I want 2. They gave me a chocolate, they showed me a chocolate, and then I was happy. Long as they didn't show me the chocolate, nothing happened to me. They showed me the chocolate, and one was not enough. I was asking for another, but then they don't understand me. They don't understand my feeling. What sort of mummy daddy are they? I do not know. But then I was upset. Get the point? So that way, the baby is not capable of processing the information. There are 4 people, 4 chocolates, and 4 divided by 4. Baby doesn't know math. Baby simply wanted one more chocolate not given, and the baby took a decision, either mummy not okay or I am not okay. Right? I'll come to it a little later. Now this is child. And then the morality principle, the parent says only one can be given as a ration. You cannot take 2. Taking 2 is wrong. Taking 2 is bad. Taking 2 makes you a very bad child, and being a bad child is not okay with me. And mummy is not happy with you. If mummy is not happy with you, you will not get whatever you want tomorrow also. So give up your thought, give up your feelings, and do what mummy says. So I'll come to this a little again. So there is a baby wanting everything, and there is a mummy, daddy, parent ego set controlling everything. In between, there is an adult which says, okay, you take 1. Tomorrow I will buy 8 chocolates, and then all of us will have 2 each. That being compromise. So ego comes into play, or the adult comes into play, or the reality principle comes into play. The pressure principle says too much, and the parental morality principle says only 1, and the reality principle says today you will have 1, or tomorrow you will have 2, or take mine today and tomorrow you shall not ask for 2. So that's a compromise mediating area. So the pressure principle is always asking for something. Morality principle is always controlling something. Reality principle is trying to balance both of them. Are you with me? So coming back, I'll give you one more example. I go to a shop and then I pay 50 rupees, and then I ask for a pen 10 rupees, right? And when I gave him 50 and I took a pen, but then instead of giving me back 40, the shopkeeper gave me 90, right? So the moment I got 90 rupees, immediately my pleasure principle came into operation, and it said 50 rupees profit. Aha! The moment I said, aha, pressure principle, child, I came from the child, and I said, aha, 50 rupees profit. Immediately my morality principle acted on me. You call yourself a trainer and you say you are talking about self-development and you are teaching a lot of people all over India. How can you take 50 rupees which you did not earn? Is it not wrong? And immediately I come to balance. My reality principle says, I asked the shopkeeper, don't keep sleeping when you are in the shop. And I gave you only 50, take back the 50. So 2 seconds, my pleasure principle came into operation. I felt 50 rupees is a profit. 2 more seconds, I felt it is too bad. I shall not be doing what I am doing now. And then the 5th second or the 6th second, I returned 50 rupees. So pleasure principle came into operation. 2 seconds. Morality principle came into operation 2 seconds, and then reality principle came into operation 2 seconds. So the child wanted something, the parent said it is bad, and the reality adult said return the money. Meaning we are always changing in our energy states. There is always a pressure seeking idea. There is always a regulating idea. There is always a balancing idea. We are using these 3 states. It's called structural analysis of ego states. It's called parent, adult, child, ego states, and we keep moving in between all these 3. And then functionally, this is called structure. 3 circles, one down the other, one below the other. Functionally, the parent gets divided into 2, and one of them is a nurturing parent, other one is a critical parent. The nurturing parent is the one who showers you with the love and affection, takes care of you, excuses, pardons you for everything, gives you whatever you want, and too amicable, too loving, too caring, too happy with you. Totally nurturing, caring parent. The other one is controlling you, telling you what to do, what not to do, controlling you, punishing you, or telling you regulatory words. You are a bad boy, or beat you up, or condemn you, or scold you, or punish you. So there is a controlling parent, there is a nurturing parent. And then coming to child, it is also divided into 2. One called the free child, freely expressing all the emotions. I am angry, I will shout. I am happy, I will jump up in joy. I will express all emotions freely. I do not care for other people. I am on my own. And there is an adapted child, the other one, ADAPTED, adapted child. Adapted child is the one which says, whatever mommy says, it will oblige, whatever daddy says, it will oblige, because that is the only way to survive. Deep inside, the adapted child may not be happy, but then everyone is appreciating or stroking or congratulating, recognizing this child being, whatever I tell him, he will do, whatever I tell her, she will do. And such a nice kid, such an obliging kid, such a very docile kid, and they're always listening, always doing whatever we are asking them. But then the child deep inside is crying, something else I wanted to do, but I'm not able to do. So for the adult is not divided. Adult is adult reality in the like computer, software, hardware, taking stock of what is available and doing what needs to be done in the given situation. Data collection, data manipulation, arriving at a decision, putting things into action, solving problems, achieving goals is called adult. Functionally, 5. So there is a nurturing parent, loving. There's a controlling parent, controlling. There's an adult, normally data collection and arriving at goals or solving problems. There is a free child expressing all the emotions freely. There's an adapted child always listening to elders and other people, right? So in the functional area, the nurturing parent will always give you everything, but then it will shower you with too much of love. You will not be able to think for yourself or arrive at your decision making. Because mommy always decides for you or daddy always decides for you. And anytime you want, they will give you something. And with the result, you think if mommy is giving me everything, if daddy is giving me everything, the society shall also be giving me everything, because this is the way I was brought up for 5 years, right? So I took a decision, if mommy daddy gives me everything, the world shall also give me everything, but the world is a different kind of playing field and it doesn't work. So there is a plus point for nurturing parent, there is a minus point for nurturing parent. And coming to critical parent, whenever I commit some mistake, someone has got to tell me this is wrong. If I write the spelling of immediately as IMMEEDITELY, and the teacher has got to tell me that's not the right spelling. You got to write it differently, IMMEADITELY, whatever. The teacher has got to tell you the correct spelling. So you get to know, you will not get the same, commit some same mistake when you're 20 years old or 40 years old. So some correction needs to be done whenever you commit mistake, and you're likely to commit mistake because you are after all a child, you didn't know much. So there must be a controlling parent who has got to tell you, this is risky now, don't do it. And this is okay, feel confident and go ahead and do it. If you're not controlled, if you're not criticized, you will keep on committing the same mistake and you will never learn anything new. So, but if mommy, daddy is everybody for me. If mommy is criticizing me or daddy is criticizing me, then I feel I am not okay. Then I will lose my self-confidence and self-esteem, and with the result, I will not be able to play in the society at all. So too much of punishment or too much of control will also not be conducive for me, and totally lack of control is also not conducive for me. There's a plus point for nurturing parent, minus point for nurturing parent. There's a plus point for controlling critical parent. There's a minus point for controlling critical parent. And the free child is the one which is making me happy, which gives me my life force, libido, which gives me my energy or eros, EROS in Freudian terminology, libido, LIBIDO in Freudian terminology. Free child gives me energy. I'm so happy with myself. I can do anything that I want. I'm playing, I'm watching TV, I am sleeping, I am doing whatever I want. But then the free child does not take other people into account. In the process, it might hurt other people. It may not learn manners and etiquette. It may not function appropriately in a given situation. Right? But free child we need. No free child, people will die. Free child is the maximum energy and we need to have a free child. But then total free child will affect other people, will not care for other people. So we need to balance that also. Adapted child will always do whatever other people want, but then the adapted child may not be happy deep inside because it is always catering to the needs of other people around. It could be friends. And the boy says, let us play marble today. Somebody else will say, no marble today, we'll go for cricket. This boy will say, okay. So if he has had a free child, he will say, we will play marble, let us come along. Let all of you come along. Or if he is a free child, he will say, today it is cricket, tomorrow it is marble. Okay. And then he will ask for what he wants because he's coming from free child. But then the adapted child always surrenders, always obliges, always does all the other people want. So there is a plus point for being adapted child, because if you're an adapted child, you're a good team player. But then if you're totally adapted, you're fit to become a worker or a clerk. You can't be a manager or a decision maker or a leader. So adapted child is a good follower. But then if you want to be a leader, you cannot be always adapted child. So there are 3 structural ego states called parent, adult, and child. And there are 5 functional ego states called nurturing parent, critical parent, and adult, and free child, and adopted child. All of them have got an application, right? And then coming over, when these 5 ego states come across another 5 people's ego state, then we have an interaction or a transaction or a communication or a relationship. Wherein if I am asking you what is the time now, you can tell me the time is now maybe 5:30. Right, that's good. I am coming from an adult and you give me an answer, 5:30 adult. But then I tell you what is the time now, and immediately you say, I am not late. Meaning you are coming from your critical parent saying that you are accusing me, I am not to be accused. Or you come from an adopted child differently, you say, sorry, I am late. All that I asked for, what is the time now, because I did not have a watch, and you could have told me 5:30 and the matter could have ended. Adult transaction. But then I said, what is the time now? Immediately say, do you think I'm late? That's a critical parent. When there is a transaction gets crossed. And the other area, I'm sorry. Then again, there's another area. You are coming from an adopted child. So we need to understand when 2 people come across each other, both of them have got 5 ego states. How do they relate with each other? Meaning, an adult expects always an adult transaction. If I say something from my adult, I want you to respond to me from your adult. If I come from a nurturing parent, I want you to come from your nurturing parent or your free child. If I am coming from your critical parent and you are also coming from your critical parent and we are criticizing somebody else, it's called a parallel transaction or complementary transaction. I am saying the government is bad, you are also saying government is bad. Critical parent, absolutely comfortable criticizing other people. Supposing you say something bad about me or I say something bad about you, then the critical parent, they clash with each other, they have a problem. That becomes a crossed transaction. So critical parent many a time expects an adopted child to say sorry to come along. And adopted child always responds to a critical parent. And a free child responds to free child. Adopted child responds to adopted child. Adult responds to adult. So we can come from CP parallel and nurturing parent parallel, adult parallel, free child parallel, adopted child parallel 1. And the other one is a critical parent wants an adopted child, adult wants an adult, nurturing parent wants a free child, and then the free child wants a nurturing parent. So if you are coming from the expected ego state of the other person, communication will be wonderful, communication will be complementary, communication will be parallel, communication will go on infinitely, indefinitely. So always come from, think of which ego state you are in, and look at other person, which ego state he or she is in, and then the expected ego state is one from which if you respond, communication will be wonderful, relationship will be wonderful, office will work fine, family will be beautiful, right? And then coming over, the way in which, as I told you about Mummy Daddy University, they brought up in such a way, they always told us what not to do. Many times they did not tell us what to do. Most of the time they told us what not to do, right? So what not to do is called a don't message, or it is called an injunction. INJUNCTIONS. Injunction, not injection. Injunction. Normally in legal terms they use it to stop something like. Injunction is a don't message or a denial message. By and large, in order to make you a good human being or a good citizen or a culturally evolved person or a decent person with etiquette and manners and demeanor and pleasing personality, Mummy Daddy gave you several don't messages. And some of these don't messages, almost all the don't messages are painful. Mummy Daddy gave you them in order to regulate you, in order to condition you, in order to make you a human being. But Mummy Daddy did not realize it is hurting you. But then you came across all these things. So what are the injunctions? I'll tell you all of them and give you one single line of explanations. One of them said, don't be the sex you are. If you are the second daughter or the second boy or the third daughter or the third son, Mummy Daddy may not have been happy with you, and they would have been happy had you been otherwise. Instead of being a girl, you were a boy. Instead of being a boy, if you were a girl. And whenever the second child or the third child is of the same gender, Mummy Daddy normally change the clothing of the baby If it is a girl, they will put on pant and shirt. If it is a boy, they will put on a skirt and a frock like. So sometimes they want to enjoy. They wanted to have another gender baby, but then you were born in this way. So they want to be happy with themselves. They put on a different kind of a clothing for you, right? So in that context, sometimes we come across a situation wherein me being me was not okay. I being a boy is not okay. I being a girl is not okay, right? That's you don't be the sex you are. And then they said, don't be a child. Sometimes they wanted you to grow up, they take more responsibilities, or sometimes when the younger brother, younger sister, they said, take care of the younger brother, take care of the younger sister. Meaning you became a leader like, and there was a follower like, and you can't be a child anymore. You got to grow up, right? And sometimes they told you, don't grow up, don't think too much of yourself, don't talk when parents are talking, don't overdo yourself. And we are here to take care of you. Don't grow up, be a child. Sometimes they told you, don't succeed. And I came back home saying I came number 1 and I got 80%. Mommy said, don't shout too much and don't jump up and down in the joy. Don't hit in the ceiling and don't think be overexcited yourself. And then I took a decision that if I succeed, mommy will not be happy. And if I succeed and come, I have succeeded someplace. I wanted my mummy to congratulate me. But then my mummy put me down and my mummy scolded me. My mummy showed me my place. With the result, I thought, if I succeed, mummy doesn't like. If mummy doesn't like, nobody will like. For all I know, mummy is my university, right? So don't succeed. And then they said, don't be important. Whenever a teacher asks some questions, I immediately raise my hand. And then when teacher asked me to give the answer, I gave a wrong answer. And then they said, how come you give a wrong answer? And you raise your hand also. I took a decision. Even though I know I have the right answer, one more time I will not raise my hand because teacher said, don't be important. If you feel like you are important, you'll be put down because you do not know how to be important or how to succeed also. And sometimes when I come after playing, I come home and then I wanted to hug mummy. But then mummy said, you're dirty, 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 don't touch me. But then I took a decision. Mummy doesn't like me. Mummy likes my brother. Mummy likes my sister. She doesn't want me to touch. I am not okay. Sometimes I thought mummy is also not okay. Right? Either I am not okay or mummy is not okay or both of us are not okay. And mummy said something else. Because I was dirty, mummy said, wash your legs and wash your hands and wash your face and come back. But then mummy didn't know how to say that. Mummy is not a psychologist. Mummy is an ordinary, normal, routine mummy. Mummy said what she said, but then I felt bad. Based on my feeling, I took a decision. I am not okay or mummy is not okay. And sometimes they said, don't belong here. When elder people are talking, maybe uncle, auntie, grandfather, grandmother, neighbors are talking there, and you are playing around. They said, don't be here, go out and play, don't shout, don't make noise here. I thought if parents are there, if seniors are there, I don't belong here. I cannot belong here because I'm something less and they are more. Same thing happens after 20-25 years when I go to an office. When senior officers are talking, I immediately think this is not the right place for me to be. I must get out or I walk out or I remain quiet, don't make any noise. Even though I know the right answer or right consultation or right information to give them, I will shut up because my mummy told me when I was 4 years old, you don't belong here. I don't belong here in mummy daddy university. I don't belong in the office also. Wherever seniors are there, I don't belong. Right? And they said, don't be well also. If I am, when mummy is okay, mummy is well, I told my mummy one day, mummy, don't go to office. Take care of me. I want to play with you. Or you play with me. Mummy said, nothing doing. I have too many work. Too much of work in the office. One day I was really sick and I was running temperature 103 like early in the morning by 6-7 o'clock. Mummy touched me here and then realized I am really sick and I am really running a temperature. Mummy called her colleagues and said, I am not coming to office. And then mummy stayed with me. Mummy gave me Horlicks. Mummy gave me bread. Mummy gave me omelette. Mummy sat with me and read stories for me. Mummy hugged me and we slept. Mummy played with me and mummy, along in mummy's lap, I was sitting and watching TV. I took a decision. If I am sick, mummy loves me. If I am well, mummy doesn't love me. I become a sickly child. don't be well. And I start playing this card again and again. I will get headache, I will get back pain, I'll get neck pain, I'll get ulcer, I will get cardiovascular problem, I'll get asthma, I'll get any sort of problem. I'll create sickness in order to get love and affection from other people, because it worked in my mummy daddy university. My mummy paid attention only when I was sick. When I was well, when I was all right, mummy didn't care for me. And some more injunctions are don't think what you think. And don't feel what you feel. They will beat you up and say, don't cry. And they say, I know what you're thinking. Don't do that. Don't ask for that. I will not give you. So don't think what you're thinking. Don't feel what you're feeling. Don't do what you're doing. So all these things are called don't messages or injunctions. And I tell you, of all the 12 or 13 messages I've given you, one of them is true for you. One of them is blanket don't do anything. You are absolutely waste. You can't do anything right. That's called a blanket don't. Simple don't for everything. Don't do anything at all. Don't be important. Don't be a child. Don't grow up. Don't be well. Whatever. So that's a blanket don't. So when I receive all these don't messages, then based on this qualification, I have one or two of these injunctions are still playing a major role in my life. Think of those things, right? Think what is blocking you. Don't be you, don't be the sex you are, don't be a child, don't grow up, don't succeed, don't be important, don't belong, don't be close, don't be well, don't feel, don't think, don't do, blanket don't. One of them is still playing a major role in your life, and it is blocking your progress or growth or development in your life. Check it out. Right? And whenever there is an injunction, based on the injunction, I take a live position. In my live position, I say either I am not okay, or the other person is not okay, or the world is not okay. Right? Sometimes it so happens I am not okay, you are also not okay, no one is okay also. Many a time, one of them is true. One is called I am okay, you are not okay. The other one is I am not okay, you are okay. The third one is I am not okay, you are also not okay. The fourth one is I am okay, you are okay. The possibility of I am okay, you are okay is very, very rare in the world. It always so happens, no matter how qualified you are, no matter how old you are, no matter what kind of projects you take and succeed, no matter how many times you have succeeded, there is always a lingering doubt. Am I not okay, or is the other person not okay? So the life position is again and again deciding whether you are going to take up some responsibility or not, whether you are going to do some job or not, whether you are going to complete it or not, right? So no matter where you are, imagine or take it for granted that I am okay 80%, the other person is okay 80%. Give yourself the allowance 20% to commit mistake. Give the other person the allowance to commit 20% mistake, and then the life position changes, and then your life will change. Long as you think I am not okay, you will not be able to become successful in whatever you do. Long as you think the other person is not okay, you will not be able to build a relationship or maintain or sustain a relationship or get along with people in the world. Right? So imagine, take it for granted that you are okay 80%, the other person is okay 80%, right? And then coming over, based on your injunctions, based on your mummy daddy university, based on the life position that you have taken, you wrote a script. Script meaning like a movie script. You wrote a script when you were 5 years old, mostly based on your feelings only. Based on your feelings, you took a decision. This is the way my life is going to be. I am going to be a winner. I'm going to be a loser. I'm going to be a non-winner. Non-winner is a person who doesn't win much, who doesn't lose much. He somehow manages to get by in life. Complete your plus 2 with 50%, 60%. Get employed, get a job, college admission in some course, whatever they give you, I will study. And after completing my degree, any job that I get, I will go to that job. And if they give me promotion, it's okay. If they don't give me promotion, it's okay. I will remain the same for the next 30, 40 years. And then I will retire. Whatever money I have, I will somehow manage to live. It's called non-winner. I will not win also. I will not lose also. A winner is a person who ultimately wins. like the football match that was going on or the Wimbledon tennis that was going on, the top seed somehow rearranges himself, somehow understands the opponent or the given situation, somehow changes himself during the course of the play, somehow manages to outbid, somehow manages to succeed. A winner always succeeds. Playing the game properly, understanding the given situation, understanding the opponent player, and rearranging his style and managing to win legally, ethically. Anyone wants to say anything? Shall I go on? Right. So winner is a
Can you
person who
please
always
pardon?
wins. Huh?
Can you please pardon this?
Pardon this? What? Right. I'll go ahead. A winner is a person who manages to win and he puts on the effort using everything that he has got properly, legally, ethically, morally. Right? And a loser is a person who has already received so many injunctions from mummy, daddy, and he's already taken a life position. I am not okay, or others are not okay, or both of us are not okay. With the result, he has got a loser script, and he will many a time someone manage to lose ultimately. Even if he has win 2 sets and then he will lose 3 more sets, he will win 2 sets and then he will lose the next 3 and he will lose. And he will always justify saying, this is the way life is. I am not born to win and everyone is out to get me. I am not okay. Nothing works for me. Right? A loser is a person who always complains and who always manages to win. It looks like he is succeeding. Even in playing in carom board, he will get 25 points. And then he will give all the 29 points to the opponent. And then he will say, you will lose the game. And he will tell other people, see, I came very nearly 25. One more board I could have won. But it so happened, it always the destiny plays this way. This is my fate. This is my lot. I cannot win. I am destined to lose only. He will justify his position. Right? So we have a script which, if the script is winner, legally, you will properly win. If your script is loser, again and again you will lose. It is not the environment, it is not the business, it is not the office, it is not the team. It is you. It is in your psychology, it is in your unconscious mind or subconscious mind, it is in your psyche, which has got a loser script, which will ultimately lead you to lose. Right? A non-winner will take everything as it comes and leave everything to the way in which the day appears, the way in which people appear. Right? So the idea is to think of yourself as a winner and rearrange everything, even though no matter how many times you have lost, no matter several times you did not succeed, doesn't matter. Changing today, think of yourself as a winner and legally, ethically, morally go about winning your task. And
What is the meaning of rearranging, sir?
rearranging meaning, it doesn't matter what my past tells me. Coming from the here and now today, I am telling myself I am okay, others are okay, I am a winner. Right? My
Okay, sir.
injunctions do not stop me. I can think I am important. I belong here. I have the right to be my gender. I can be a child. I can grow up. I can be well. I can succeed. So these are all messages you tell yourself to become a winner. Your injunctions do not stop you. Your life positions are not in the not okay area. They are in the okay area. Your script becomes a winner script. Right?
Thank you, sir.
And then whenever we have a problem, check up there are 3 people in a problem situation. One is a persecutor or a creator or a person who is hurting you. Something is going wrong. Somebody is hurting you. And you be a victim there. And there is a victim, there is a person who is getting hurt by the persecutor or the hurting person. And there is a rescuer who always rescues the victim person. It's called a drama triangle. There is a person who is hurting, there is a person who gets hurt, and there is a rescuer also. So the persecutor is a person who thinks I have every right to hurt other people. I have a right to get whatever I want. And these are the bad people. If they come to power, they hurt all the other people. And there are some people, they say, they pity the poor me, look at my lot, this is the way I am, and they get hurt. And there's another group of person, rescuer, they say, the victim is not capable of taking care of himself, so it is my job to rescue those people. So the persecutor thinks I am okay, victim is not okay. Victim thinks I am not okay, the persecutor is okay, or persecutor is also not okay. The rescuer thinks I am okay, I am capable of rescuing, and the victim is not okay, so I am rescuing. So all these 3 people have come from 3 different ego states, 3 different positions, drama triangle. Being a persecutor, he hurts. Being a victim, he gets hurt. Being a rescuer, he does not allow the victim to take care of himself also. So in any problem situation, find out which role you are playing and move out of that role, because the drama doesn't help. Being a persecutor is not okay. Being a victim is not okay. Being a rescuer is also not okay. Even though in English, rescuer is a person who is a nice person. TA says the rescuer is a person who does not allow the victim to take care of himself. He does not allow the victim to think positively about his capabilities, because rescuer always rescues. The victim always depends on the rescuer to be rescued. So you are always dependent on other people. You are not independent. Right? One more area is a frame of reference. How do you look at your life? How do you look at the world? How do you look at other people? You have a frame. It's called a tinted glass. If your cooling glass or goggles is black, the world will appear black. If it is blue, the world will appear blue. If it is green, it will appear green. It is not the world the way it is is the way you look at the world. It's called frame of reference. To give you an example, in the Garden of Eden, Eve comes across a serpent and the serpent tells Eve, do not eat this apple, right? So immediately Eve goes to husband and tells husband, this is what the serpent did. Meaning, Eve consulted her husband, Eve always consults husband. Wife always consults husband is one area. And Adam listened to his wife and responded to his wife. Meaning, husband always listens to and responds to wife. This is one way of looking at the frame of reference. The other way of looking at the frame of reference is all women are manipulative, and if the serpent told her something, she should have replied to serpent or she should have ignored the serpent. How come she came to Adam and told him something? With the result, Adam got manipulated. Women are manipulative. And then all men get manipulated by women because they are living with the woman, because they are married to the woman, they listen to the woman and then they get manipulated by women. This is another one. I am not saying that both of them are right or both of them are wrong. I am saying one frame of reference says wife consults husband, husband listens to wife. The other one says wife manipulates husband, husband gets manipulated. It all depends on how you look at your life. Right, to give you one more example, say some minister was there and minister was very sick. Supposing around 12 o'clock midnight, the minister is so very sick. The newspaper editor thought, after all, he's going to die in 1 hour. Let me say he's dead. So he writes in the paper saying the minister died. But then it so happened the minister did not die. And but in the paper it appeared minister so and so died. Sorry, just a sec. The minister, the newspaper says, we are very sorry to inform you that the so-and-so minister died. And the minister gets wild and he calls the editor and says, I am alive. Please say apologize, print apologize in the next day's newspaper. And they say, okay, we are sorry, we made a mistake, we will apologize. And they said, in the next day newspaper, they said, we are very sorry to inform you, the minister is not dead yet, and we apologize. So this is another frame of reference. So this man was asking for an apology and they gave an apology and they said the minister is not dead yet. So this is another frame of reference. So what is your frame of reference is going to decide something. And you know frame of reference, you can say Malayalis are like this, or Tamilians are like this, or Mumbai people are like this, or Saddajis are like this, Pakistanis are like this, or Bangladeshis are like this, or Afghanistan people are like this, or US people are like this, Europeans are like this, or Chinese people are like that. It's all from your frame of reference. If I say some party in India, some people feel so elated, 50% of the people. Some people feel so bad because they are antagonistic to this party. The same message you're talking about, it could be Congress, BJP, it could be DMK, ADMK. For 50% of the people, they say so very happy. For 50% of people, they are so very angry, depending on their frame of reference. Unless you change your frame of reference, you will not be able to connect with other people. Your frame of reference need not necessarily be correct. And other people's frame of reference may be also be correct also. In that context, if you change your frame of reference to suit the other person's frame of reference, then there will be communication and relationship. Right? And there are 4 basic authentic feelings called.
Sir, is there a way to check on the frame of mind, sir? Frame of other person's mind? Is there a way to check?
It depends on the way in which you look at other people. If you already look at them as positive people, everything is okay with you. If you already look at them as negative people, everything that they do is wrong with you. They say mother-in-law breaks, it's mud pot. Daughter-in-law breaks, it's golden pot. So that's called frame of reference, right?
Okay.
Let me go ahead and complete few more things. I have hardly few minutes left, right? There's another area called time structuring, like time management. Dr. Erickson calls it time structuring. There is an activity for 8 hours, meaning you go to school, you go to college, you go to office. 8 hours of job, right? So we travel also maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. So 9 hours or 10 hours. Best part of our daytime is occupied with our school, college, or office like. So activity is important, and we spend the best part of time there. And there's not much you can do because the activity is demanding you. Fulfill the assignment or manufacture the product, get the job done, complete the work, whatever you do. If you're writing coding, complete the coding. So 1 week or 15 days or 1 month or today, 1 hour or 8 hours a day. So activity automatically takes over. There is not much of control for you. You got to go to school, you cannot dodge. You got to go to college, you cannot dodge. You have to go to office, you cannot dodge. You cannot dodge your work also. So activity is always there in time. And then in order to do the activity, what you do, if I am to be in the office by 9 o'clock, I shall be leaving home by 8 o'clock. Then I shall have eaten by 7:45. Then I shall wake up by 6 o'clock and I brush my teeth, wash my face, and then shave also, and then put on powder and put on my dress and then eat also. These are all called rituals. Meaning ritual is not religious ritual. Anything that you do routinely every day, day to day, it is expected of you and you have to do it. You cannot do it without it. You cannot go out without shaving. You cannot go out without brushing. You cannot go out without taking bath, right? So these are all called rituals or routines. And then whatever you do beyond your office, looking at the neighbor, hi, how do you do? How is your children? And how is life? And we talk about the politics, we talk about the weather, we talk about other things. Do you know what he did? Do you know what she did? Do you know what happened yesterday? It's all called pastime. So they take up a little bit of time. And another dimension is called withdrawal. Withdrawal is an area where you need to pay attention to. Activity automatically demands and takes. Ritual is something automatically you got to do, no out of compulsion. Pastime is automatically coming in all by itself. But withdrawal is something you need to withdraw, be with yourself, and then think, what am I doing here? What is my goal? What is my purpose? What is my problem? How do I go about solving it? How do I correct my mistakes? How do I re-establish my relationship with other people? How do I get the job done? How do I compete with my competitor? All these things, right? So you need to think about yourself and you need to think for yourself, be with yourself and be happy with yourself. You can be with nature also. You can be taking stock of yourself also. It's called withdrawal. Every day, 10 to 20 minutes withdraw. Be with yourself. Don't connect with other people. Don't know, no computers, no cell phones, no nothing. Be with yourself and think for yourself and be happy with yourself. That's one area you need to focus attention on. Many people do not withdraw. That's a problem area. So withdraw 10 to 20 minutes every day, all by yourself. Be with yourself. And another area is intimacy. Intimacy can be between a husband and wife. It can be from boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, lover, boss, subordinate, mentor, mentee, teacher, student, whatever. If there are two people absolutely comfortable with each other, no censors, no reservations, no hesitations, I share all my feelings with the other person. I succeed, I tell the other person. I am put to shame, I am embarrassed, I tell the other person. Absolutely comfortable with the other person. You need to have at least 1 or 2, 3 people who you can be intimate with, who you can share all your feelings with. Plus or minus, negative or positive, everything that is happening in your life, you must be able to share this with the other person, and that's called intimacy. So activity automatically comes, ritual automatically comes, pastime automatically comes. So you need to pay attention to withdraw and be with yourself. You need to find out somebody and be intimate with somebody, and then your whole lifetime works. And then coming to strokes. Strokes are appreciations or recognitions, wherein we say, for if somebody appreciates you, don't say God gave it to me. I have not done anything at all. Receive it. Don't say, don't mention. Whenever somebody appreciates you, say thank you very much. I appreciate it. I like it. I thank you for thanking me. You are welcome. You are most welcome. So accept strokes given to you. Ask for strokes whenever you demand, when you like, whenever you do a good job, ask people to stroke you, give you recognition. And if nobody strokes you, stroke yourself. And whoever can be stroked, appreciated, go ahead and happily, lavishly appreciate other people. Whenever people criticize you, if there is something right, change yourself, otherwise reject the criticism. I'll come again. Accept strokes when given to you. Ask for strokes when when not given to you. When nobody gives you strokes, stroke yourself and reject all the negative strokes. And wherever you have strokes to give, always give strokes to all the other people, because people like to be stroked, people like to be recognized, people like to be appreciated. We also jovially say, young children cry for appreciation, old people die for appreciation. So accept strokes, give strokes, ask for strokes, stroke yourself, reject negative strokes. So putting all together, Eric Berne created TA. Objective of TA is autonomy. We have 3 ego states. We have 5 functional ego states. We have received certain injunctions. Based on the injunctions, we have taken some life positions. Based on that, we have written a script for our life. And from that, we have gone on to a drama triangle, persecutor, victim, or rescuer. Come out of that and then come to your authentic feelings, and then change your frame of reference, and then rearrange your time management and accept strokes, give strokes. This by and large gives you a nutshell about overall perspective about transactional analysis. I am done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. Really wonderful. Really awesome. And so spontaneous, without even taking a breath. Fluid state the way. Wonderful.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, unless until you are very, very clear with the subject, you can't be this speed and flow of speech. So we all actually stunned. It shows your experience and your wellness in the subject. Because TA is one of the very, very toughest subject for a trainer to take. In my opinion, I have already taken classes, but you have excelled. That shows the experience, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Sir, I
people-
request someone to send a recorded version because I joined lately because of my work.
Right, done. I'll give you my phone number, and I normally review 4 books in every week. And one I'm going to do every week, one every week in this group, right? Mental American College and other people. And another one is called Red Fort, READ, FORTA. All Wednesdays and all Fridays, I review 2 books in English. And all Thursdays, another group called Mind Your Mind, wherein I review a book in Tamil. So 4 books every week I review. I read the book in 8 hours. I give a talk for 1 hour, discussion, question and answer 1 hour. So this is the way I normally. So whoever wants to participate in my training programs, give your name and your phone number. I'll appreciate 1 line of feedback with regard to this program. My number is 93810 34310. 93810 34310. So whoever wants to attend any of my training programs, get in touch with me. And other people ask questions or give a feedback. Welcome.
Sir, one question. How should we grow children till 6 years?
Yeah. So everything is applicable to 0 to 5 years. That's the time you already received your injunction, is taken a live position, written your script also. So by and large, you tell them, tell your children you are lovable, be confident, I'll back you up. This is the core information that you need to give your children.
Sir, your phone
Be
number.
confident, I'll back you up. I love you unconditionally. With these 2 messages, children will come up beautifully.
Okay.
Sir, your phone
Muttaj
number,
sir,
please.
Muttaj sir, good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Welcome.
My humble gratitude to you for your very excellent and enlightening deliberation on TA, sir. I have never heard like this. You are having authority on that, and really, it has impressed me a lot, sir. Flow, everything was there. Sir, I want to have one question, sir. Sir, this TA can be application can be done to on what type of patients, sir? Like mostly mental retarded and other things, are like
That I am not able to give you offhand because TA is number one for normal people. It helps. Also, it helps people in with psychological issues. We need to take an inventory of the people for about an hour and then find out how to apply it.
Sure,
Maybe
sure.
people have an ego state problem. Maybe they have a liposuction problem. Maybe they still carry an injection. Maybe their frame of reference is not okay. Maybe their script is a looser script. Maybe their time management is not okay. Maybe they don't get strokes or give strokes.
Correct, sir.
I do
Correct,
not
sir.
know unless I talk to the person individually and
Ah.
pinpoint this is the area wherein they have an issue
Sir,
and then correct things there.
Again, sir, in continuation to my question, does TA should be customized to person, or it's like a general, sir, actually?
Well-being, it is general. For a problematic situation, it is particularly oriented with a specific situation.
Okay, okay. So here we have to holistically align with ego state and other things, parameters, no, sir, like all
And
other
the
things.
beauty of TA is it starts from the time of birth till the time of your death. Every stage there is something available.
Oh,
Right? TA goes step by step, 0 to 5 years. So injunctions come by first and then life position is taken based on that and the script is written based on that. Right? So in that context, we need to work on them one after the other. And it is easy to work on them because there is a gradual and sequential and step by step.
Very good, sir. I am delighted to join your classes, sir. Whenever you conduct, please let me know, sir.
Connect with me through my phone.
Yeah, yeah. I will collect
Sir,
the
your
number
phone number,
and
sir?
I will contact you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, your phone number.
Others?
Thank you.
Others
Thank
want
you, Shivkumar, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Rajkumar, sir, I think he's having some doubt.
Vanga.
Hello,
In
sir. This
chat
is Philip
box
here.
also.
Vanga.
May I talk? Sunanda,
Yes,
ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mutia sir. This is Philips here. Thank you. This again TA basic, and I have one question, sir. The question is this: before the age of 7, there are by birth or by nurturing, the kids are maybe two sets of kids. Maybe you can assume that one set of kids are really so mature before the age of 7. And it's not seems to be that they are taught enough, but they are very automatic. The other sets of the students are sometimes so having free child, or they are very happy carefree, right? So they don't, the responsibility very less in compared to the other sets of the students.
Right.
And yeah, my question is that the TA or anything is not taught to the A section of the people, kids, then how come that kids are so much matured in order to understand the world or the family, are very
Some people are born with anything and everything. They don't need any coaching at all. They don't even need a school, college also, right? Some people, even after schooling and college, they will find it difficult. It all depends on your mental makeup or how did you receive the information, right? And two boys, I normally tell people in some other training programs also, I usually quote boys, brothers, 10 years old, 8 years old, fighting with each other, hitting against each other. Mummy looks at them and then mummy shouts at them saying, if this is the way you two fight, you will end up in a mental asylum. பைத்தியக்கார ஆஸ்பத்திரி தான் போய் சேருவீங்கடா அப்படின்னு அம்மா சொல்றாங்க. Ultimately 20 years later find that both of them go to the mental asylum, one as a doctor, other one as a patient.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
How did you receive the information? It is not what happened to you. If your daddy is a drunkard, doesn't mean you will become a drunkard, doesn't mean you should not touch drink at all. You can take your own decision. When daddy is a drunkard, the other guy, the one guy models daddy and becomes a drunkard. The other guy totally models the opposite to daddy and says, I will never touch alcohol. So it is not what happens to you, it is what you do with what happens to you that decides the way you lead your life. So think in terms of how do I lead my life? How do I encounter what I encounter? That's what is important. Not what happens to you is not important.
Yeah, very
Thank
closely.
you, sir.
Yes, sir. Very closely when you look at, thank you for the answer, sir. Very closely we look at a child, even at the age of 7 years or 8 years, the maturity level, it is far above with the adult persons. So that is my question. Then how they are picking up and really,
I do not know. Some people are born with that, some people learn.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it is always possible to change.
Any genealogy factor, sir?
This is a prefrontal lobe or neocortex, which can be programmed for 20 years. So it keeps on collecting data for 20 more years, 20 years since the time you were born. So this is an area where you can change anything. Right? At any point of time, human beings can change. People can decide, people can think, people can change their decisions also. That's the purpose of TA. Right? Others, Wanga.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chat
Good
back.
evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Go ahead.
It was a very nice session, sir. The flow was really good. It shows the confidence of the subject, sir. I'm so happy to attend this session. And my question is, this is an introductory to TA, right, sir?
Right.
So what would they, how many levels are there? And in each level, like just in each level, what would they be teaching?
So there is a 2-day course called TA 101. Certified people trained, give you a certificate. That's a basis, foundation course. It's called Introduction to Transaction Analysis or TA 101 by certified people. There's a group called ICTA, Institute of Counseling and Transaction Analysis in Kalamassery, Cochin. I can give you the, get in touch with me over phone or WhatsApp. I'll give you details. Cochin, ICTA, Cochin, Kalamassery. And they conduct training programs on TA. And then it is about 2 to 3 years advanced course on TA, wherein you need to go to Cochin, or online teaching is available now. Every month, 2 full days like. That was the way it was going on. How did they change lately after online? I'm not quite sure. So 2 full days every month, a Saturday and a Sunday like. And over a period of 2 to 3 years, you will be able to complete advanced TA and get certified as a trainer. Right? Other details I'll give you. Get in touch with me. My phone number is here.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
Others?
sir.
Vanga.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, your presentation is very good, sir. I'm from Bangalore, Mary, from Nimans.
Right. Welcome.
Continuously, I'm listening to your presentation. Very good, sir. Very informative.
Next week, I'm talking about hypnosis, intro to hypnosis 101. And then the next week, intro to psychology. I know most of you are teachers here. And I also would like to play a little bit of psychology in my style. So that
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, ma'am.
Sir, how
Yes,
many
sir.
months it takes? If we would like to, learn transaction analysis, how many days does it take, sir? Like
2 days basic course. I gave you an introduction. If you have
Only
created
2
interest
days.
in the minds of people, I have done my job today. Right? 2 days basic course 101. You need to attend ICTA Cochin. I'll give you details. Get in touch with me.
Okay, sir.
And then it's a 2 to 3 years course, depending on how fast you pick up, or the way in which it goes about. Normally about, we say 3 years. 2 days a month you need to spend with teachers, and they will train you in all aspects of TA. And then you will get qualified as a BTA, Burnian TA, B-R-N, Burn, Eric Byrne, Burnian TA, BTA they call it. ICTA Cochin. Check it up in the internet also, or get in touch with me. Others?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your kind, very good, nice presentation. I am very much, I don't know how to say thanks. Okay. Then one hard question from my side, sir. Suppose one person, as you told, it's from the very beginning, okay, childhood period from the 0 to 7 to 5 years, okay, it's a pillar, okay, pillar of the base character formation, whatever it is, okay. So once that character formation, mummy, daddy, he got it from there, okay. So once he's carrying all the things in his this thing, and maybe it leads to some behavioral changes, okay, behavioral disorders or something like that. It's a long process, right? So the thing is, suppose if you are just a technique, transaction analysis, right? So using the transaction analysis, how much time it will take that particular person to come back, or is it possible? First question is it possible? Second question is, how much time he has to get the techniques applied on him, particular person, by a transaction analysis. Means analyst.
So number one,
Yeah.
it is possible to change anybody's mental makeup at any point of time. You only need to have the desire to change, willingness to change. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is the intensity with which you want to change. Some people come to me for counseling saying, let me check it out.
Okay.
And they say, my mummy asked me to come and see you. My husband asked me to come and see you. Where there it doesn't work. When people say, I want to stop smoking because my daddy scolds me. I want to stop smoking because my wife doesn't like me. There it doesn't work. He doesn't have any intensity to stop smoking. So get the point. It depends on the intensity with which you want, number one. Depends on the expertise of the other person who is giving you the information also has got a role to play. Right kind of diagnosis and right kind of application also. But basically, it is possible for any person to change at any point of time, provided he is willing to change. We have some methodology through which we can change people if they are willing to change. If they are willing to come on a regular basis. Psychology helps, psychotherapy helps, hypnotherapy helps, transaction analysis helps, neuro-linguistic programming also helps. I specialize in these 4 areas.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Others?
Thank you, sir.
Where you are on Kelvigal interactions?
So thank you so much. It was really brilliant. The way you took the session or a sequential flow, like what to say, it was seamless. அது ஒரு narration மாதிரி நீங்க சொன்னீங்க எல்லாருக்கும் புரியுற மாதிரி. So I'm sure every one of us could easily connect with TA. So it's irresistible. I salute your knowledge sharing style. Thank you. I am happy I attended this program.
Sure. Keep in touch with me. Take my number.
Definitely. I have your number. Yes.
Thank you,
I joined the Hypnotic Circle and TA Study Circle Chennai in 1984. 37 years I am with these two groups for the past 37 years. I am with hypnosis. I am with the TA also. And then around 2000, I learned psychology also, and I learned NLP also. So in 37 years or 20 years, like in NLP and psychology, all put together, I am specializing in all the 4, and I compare all the 4. And next month, I am comparing all the 4 subjects. Right? After completing one after the other. NLP is over, TA is over, and then hypnosis, and then psychology, and then the 5th week, I am comparing all the 4 subjects.
Sir, very nice to hear your specializations. Sir, I would like to ask you one question. Can you please summarize one case study who has approached you for his personality development, and he has done his he accomplished his goal.
Right. Let me summarize in 1 minute. And a girl who was always a gold medalist, always number 1 in pre-KG, LKG, UKG, first standard to +2 to MBBS, first semester, second semester, 10th semester, 9th semester, up to 9th semester. The last year and the last semester, she failed. She was always number 1 gold medalist. And the last semester, she failed. Doesn't mean she lost a gold medal. She failed in the examination, and then she went into depression, and she was asked to come to me for counseling. And when I took an inventory, and a couple of sessions later, I found out that she was in love with her friend, classmate, and both of them told their parents, and both the parents agreed, and they said complete MBBS and then get married. So they said happy. So boy loved girl, girl loved boy, both the parents happy, and they said complete MBBS and get married. It so happened 1 month before the examination, the boy fell sick with the typhoid or malaria or something. Seriously sick, he was bedridden for 20 days. And at that point of time, the girl who was looking at the boy started deep inside, subconsciously, unconsciously started thinking, very likely this boy did not study for 20 days, he will fail. If he fails, the marriage will not happen. Because I'll become a senior MBBS doctor and you'll become a junior MBBS doctor. All through his life will be junior to me in my life. If both of us pass, well, marriage will be there. If both of us fail, marriage will get postponed for 6 months. If I pass and he fails, marriage will not happen. If both of us fail, it is good. So whether he passes or not, it will be ideal to retain the marriage, to sustain the marriage, to protect the marriage. Subconscious mind said, you also fail in the examination, then only the marriage will happen. She was more concerned with the next 50 years. Subconscious mind said fail, and she failed. But then the conscious mind said, how can I fail? All my life I was a gold medalist. And there was a conflict between the conscious mind and subconscious mind. And once I found out under hypnosis trance state, I culled out the information. I told her, it was your decision to fail to protect your marriage. Marriage is intact. Be happy. You are going to get married after 6 months. It's nice. Bypassed. Get the point? So she was happy. And she came out of depression simply because it was her decision to protect the marriage. Marriage is more important. It is the parents who are going to decide how the marriage is going to be. Boy fails, girl passes, marriage will go to toss.
Okay.
Boy passes, girl fails is okay. Both fail is okay. Both pass is okay. This is the only equation which is not okay. So the girl subconsciously took a decision to fail. So only when you access the subconscious mind, we will get to know too many things about you or me. That is in this realm, psychology, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, hypnoanalysis, transaction analysis, and NLP play a huge role. Right? Other
Very
subjects?
nice. Very nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Where is some time out there?
Thank you, sir, for the excellent session. I have a doubt.
Yes.
Whether this transaction analysis can be used for overcoming fear and mobile addiction for a 10-year-old boy.
Both of them are learned experiences or learned helplessness. They can be unlearned. Fear is a learned experience. There is something called real fear. There is something called learned fear. So whatever is learned fear, we can rearrange. Jump from the terrace. That's wrong. That's a natural fear. I will not jump from the terrace. Clear points. I look at a snake. I'm afraid. That's a natural fear. But many a time we have learned fear. Like whenever daddy comes, or whenever boss comes, or whenever for a girl a boy comes, or for a boy a girl comes, whenever a stranger comes, whenever some people talk in English, these are all learned fears. So all learned fears can be unlearned. Right? Have I answered your question?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to hear.
Yes.
Thank you, Deepa ma'am. Any other questions?
Yeah. Close பண்ணிக்கலாமா? We have exceeded the time. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sunanda. Thanks a lot, Salim Akbar.
Last one, sir.
Last one, Ravi, வாங்க.
Sir, as usual, excellent presentation. Good flow. ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்தது. Congrats, sir. Thank you. ஒன்னும் question கேட்கறதுக்கு எதுவும் questions எதுவும் இல்ல. Thank you.
Right. நன்றிகள். Anything else?
சார் சிவகுமார் சார் சூப்பரா ட்ரெயின்ல சூப்பர் ஃபாஸ்ட் ட்ரெயின் மாதிரி அடிச்சு விட்டீங்க சார். 1 hour கட ரூல் கிளப்பிட்டீங்க சார். அட்டகாசம் சார். கேட்கிற கேள்விக்கெல்லாம் புல்லட் மாதிரி பதில் வருது சார். சூப்பர் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் சார். அட்டகாசம். சூப்பர். தேங்க்யூ.
ஏராள நன்றிகள். தேங்க்யூ மேடம். நம்ம க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம்.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a nice evening.
Welcome. We'll meet next week. Intro to hypnosis.
மடை திறந்த வெள்ளம் சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல சார், அது மாதிரி இருந்தது இன்னைக்கு உங்க ஸ்பீச்.
சொல்லுங்க.
மடை திறந்த வெள்ளம்.
We will be very much happy to attend your next session, sir. We'll be waiting for the day.
Thanks a lot. It's a real good day.
Thank you, sir.
Honor. It's
Thank
a real
you, sir.
being with you.
Thank you. Kindly accept our gratitude on behalf of American College Madurai, MS Chellamuthu Madurai, then Madras School of Social Work Chennai, Red Pond Educational Research Center, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, TNCCA and TNCPA, STEPS Foundation. Then participants, we will have yet another session tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye. It was amazing session, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Goodbye to everyone.
जीतगा